Good morning. I'm Misty Purcell. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, thanks for coming by to visit me. And if you've been here before, thanks for coming back. Today is Saturday, the 11th of August. It's hard to believe. We're already flying through August, and classes will be starting very soon for me on the 20th. So I've been pretty busy preparing for classes at the university, and I'm still waiting on my schedule. I don't know if I'll be teaching 1, 2, 3 classes. I know only one of the classes for sure that I'll be teaching, but I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know exactly how many preps I'll have, I don't know if I have any online classes, so this is just kind of the usual, though I probably won't find out until Monday or Tuesday of this next week what my schedule is, and then I can kind of plan my life. So I wanted to thank you so much for your kind words on my quilt tour that I did in my last video. I don't know if I had any particular expectations about how people would respond, but your response, your kind comments, I was overwhelmed. So thank you so much for all the nice things people said. I was just really touched, so thank you. Thanks for watching, and thanks for taking the time to leave me a comment about that. I wanted to mention something that has kind of recently, within the last couple days, changed in my stitching a bit, and I might be the last one to this party. I've been doing the pin stitch, and I've been doing diagonal pin stitch actually, but I always start from the back. And when I use the loop method, I start from the back. So everything I do, I always start from the back. And I was watching Lori Mischievous Stitches, and she was talking about taking a class with Nicola Parkman, and that Nicola had taught them how to start pin stitching from the front and how to stop pin stitching. And I've seen ways to stop pin stitching, but usually, or stop with a pin stitch, but usually you're gonna cover that stitch up with another stitch. And I'm like, okay, well that's fine, but what about when I'm not? When I'm gonna do a different color, or I'm just stopping somewhere. And so I started kind of Googling videos to see if I could find anything, and I actually found Nicola Parkman's video about doing start with a pin stitch from the front, stopping with a pin stitch from the front when you're going to cover it up with another stitch, and stopping from the front when you're not covering it up with another stitch. And wow, that's awesome. So if you too would be interested in this, if you've not checked this video out, I'm going to link it in the description box below the video. And it was just so helpful. So I'm grateful, one, to Lori for mentioning that, and for Nicola for making that video. So since then, my stitching has been a bit faster because I'm not turning my work, to do any finishing. It's all happening from the front, and the back looks tidier because I don't have little thready bits kind of fluffing up on the back. So it's been really nice, and that's just cool. So I was excited about that. I always love learning a new technique. So yeah, if you've not tried that, check out that video and give it a try, see what you think. About the word everybody apologizes for saying and I was thinking about how when you do a video like this is the only time in your life, really, where you speak in a monologue, an unprepared monologue, where you have no one speaking back to you, and you just have to talk for 20, 30, 40 minutes. You're not giving a presentation that you prepped, So if you say, it's okay. Okay, that's all. People I've been watching. So these are not necessarily new people, they're just newer to me. One, Yany Stitcher. Now, I had seen a couple of her videos before, but what I got excited about is that I had come across this kind of by accident. She has Stitch With Me videos in Spanish, and she has some other videos in Spanish too, which I didn't know about. But I watched one of her Stitch With Me videos in Spanish, and it was awesome. So it's called Borda Conmigo, and she just stitches what she's working on, and she speaks to you in Spanish, and she's very easy to understand. She speaks clearly and slowly. And it was just so fun, and since I like to stitch, but a lot of my vocabulary is not related to stitching. My Spanish vocabulary, that I get to use in my classes is more about like family, food, sports, you know, so I don't get to learn necessarily stitching related vocabulary. So it's been really fun watching her videos and learning stitching terms in Spanish. So if you want to hear some Spanish or practice your Spanish, I would recommend that you watch her Stitch With Me videos, and I will link the most recent one in the description box. Kathy at To Dye House, everyone's watched Kathy, so probably you don't need me to tell you to watch Kathy, but if you haven't watched Kathy, I would recommend Kathy. One, that's a great name for a Flosstube channel, and I like the story behind it, and she's just really interesting. She's very enthusiastic about her projects and just kind of a perky, happy person. So I've really enjoyed her first 3 videos, and I believe she's living in Pennsylvania now. I think she was living in New Jersey but has moved to Pennsylvania. She was talking about attending the Quilt Odyssey in Hershey recently. I didn't go this year, but I've gone in the past and really enjoyed that quilt show. So she, in her most recent video, talks about attending the Quilt Odyssey, and she mentions how she just won some ribbons and a trophy for entering into her fair there, so that's pretty cool. So congratulations, Kathy. And lastly, I watched Andrea, I Heart Cross Stitch, Andrea C, and she left me a nice comment on my video, and I went and checked out her most recent video. Lots of people already watch Andrea, and I really enjoyed her videos. She just has some amazing projects. She does a lot of like large and complicated pieces. She's not afraid to personalize them to suit her. I don't know how she gets all the stitching done that she does when she works as much as she does, so she's just amazing. Really enjoyed her most recent video. So those are 3 people I've been watching. What happened was I finally came to the end. I caught up with everyone that I watched somehow. I came to the end of the internet, so to speak, and I was like, okay, time to find new people to watch, time to check out some people I've been hearing about. So that's what I did, and now I'm behind on my usual people again, but that's just kind of normal. What am I all into? This water bottle. Takeya? I don't know. Whatever. It's awesome. I saw this at Target, and it's insulated, and so your drink will stay hot or cold. It's stainless steel on the inside. It'll stay hot or cold for a long time, which I really liked. There's a little rubber thing on the bottom, and this actually comes off if you need it to. The lid is just a screw-off lid. You know, you can just unscrew it, and then this little top here is nice. You've got the loop, and then you can screw this on. It's really, really well thought out, and I love it. It was a little bit pricey, but I take water with me every day for teaching. I have to talk a lot, so I have to drink a lot of water, and my current water bottle is a glass one, which I like, but it's very heavy and tall. It tends to tip over. And sometimes it leaks a little bit. So I was looking for something a little bit better. So to me, it was worth the investment because of how much I have to carry water around with me. FOs. I have an FO. I've loaded all the goats. And usually this was my Sunday piece, but I decided to kind of crank on it and put aside other things to get this done because this is going to be a gift for my mom. So goat load is a design by Plum Street Samplers. It's a new one that was released this year, and at the moment that I saw the preview of it, I fainted almost from excitement because it's hard to find a good goat design. Hard to find even a bad goat design, let alone a good one. So I was super excited, and I've been stitching it since June, and I finished it. Is this fully finished? It's pretty close. I'm not sure, so I'll show it to you. So cute. So this is stitched on 36 count vintage country mocha, and I stitched it 1 strand over 2. I used the DMC conversion provided in the pattern, and then I subbed out some of the colors. I didn't have the called for pink, so I used something similar. The white, I had to use B5200 because the kind of cream color that was called for wasn't showing up well on my linen in 1 strand. I did change the Nubian to a brown color because my mom's Nubians are generally brown or black, and both of these these goats were kind of a grayish, greenish color, which was pretty, but it just wasn't really quite what I wanted, so I changed it a little bit. And then I also made this goat a darker gray, and I wasn't sure if it would go well because it's kind of a bluer gray and there's kind of more green in here, but I think it's fine. So I'm really pleased. I think the goats are super adorable, and you can see they're so tiny. I mean, there's my finger for scale. So I went looking for frames, and I found this one at Michael's. This is a really interesting frame. So it comes, with this kind of beveled glass piece clamped into it. And so this is by Studio Decor. It's called Farmington. The awesome part on the back is that it's adjustable, so you can just turn the screw, raise it up and down, so you can see this is like as low as it can go, and it can go quite high. So you could get away with, you know, something long and skinny as long as it looked kind of proportional, or something taller or shorter. I mean, you have a lot of flexibility with this. So this was a cool find. One thing I would say is that I would not buy this online. I would go into the store, and I actually went to 2 Michaels before I found one that wasn't slightly crooked or that didn't have a problem with one of these. So I mean, this frame's like $20. I got it half off, but it's not like a super high quality frame, so I think you need to check it out in person if you're going to get it and inspect it for imperfections. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's adorable, and I used a reproduction fabric that I've had in my stash for probably a decade. This was from a Judy Rothermel collection. I think it's called Charleston, from like 1850 to 65, so pre-Civil War to Civil War era reproduction. And it was a little tricky lining up these stripes. I had a bit of a challenge doing that, and then getting the goats kind of centered on them, so it's pretty good. And I used Ivana's tutorial for a flat fold, and just obviously I didn't do a flat fold, I did this instead. And of course this is kind of inspired by a display, the way that Priscilla displays some of her items. And the only thing I'm not sure of is if it's a little bit too plain. I don't want to do too much more to it, because I think with it being so small that if I do much more to it, it'll overwhelm it. But I might try to put maybe a small lace, like vintage lace bow on it. I'm gonna do a little bit of stash diving and see if anything will work, or if I'm just going with this. So this is my mom's birthday present. Her birthday's September 4th. I think she'll really like it, and I'm excited to give it to her. So yeah, I'm just gonna audition some ribbon and lace and see if anything will work, and if not, it'll just go out like this. I could also maybe put something down here, maybe some kind of a bow, so I'll play around and see, but I was really happy to get this done, and I think it's super cute. Hopefully I can stitch it for myself one day. So here's one more close look, and Paulette just did a great job with this design. I mean, it's really well done. Okay. And then, let's see, what have I got? Whips. American Flag Quilt Sampler. If you're new here, this was a birthday start, so I've been working on this since April 30th. I slowed down a bit on this so that I could work on Goat Load and try to finish that up. So I've not made a ton of progress since you last saw this, if you were here a couple weeks ago. So I finished up New Hampshire. So when you last saw this, I had the outline stitching done, the back stitching done on New Hampshire, and now I've filled it in completely. Hopefully that's not blurry, it's hard to tell. So it's looking great. I'm loving it. And yeah, it's an enjoyable stitch. So hopefully you can see I'm starting to kind of plan out the next row. This will be the last row of the star portion of the flag. So I'm starting to kind of block that out. It's a little bit tedious, so I'm just kind of going a little bit at a time. But it's an awesome project. I'm loving it, and I'm just going to keep plugging away at it. So that's like a stitch along, but you know what? Everybody's busy, so if you're trying to stitch along with me and it's just not fitting into your schedule, that's cool. I'm happy stitching it on my own. I'm happy if you join me. It's all good. No stress. Okay, no pressure, friends. I'm also working on Sally Spencer, and so once I finish Goat Load, I put in more time on Sally, but I did take her off I took the sidebars off of my scroll rod, and so, here, we'll see if I can unfurl it for you. This is like, I'm unrolling a parchment. Hear ye, as I make a proclamation from my parchment. Okay. So that's looking great. As you can see, I'm happy I finished that alphabet, which was a bit challenging for me. As I said, I've changed out a couple of the colors, so it would be white instead of that yellow. That yellow is Finley Gold, and there's a black. I don't recall what the original black was. I'm using raw iron. So I'm really happy with how it's looking, and I just need to do the bottom part, which probably won't take me that long. But I needed the sidebars for another project, so I don't know if I'm going to temporarily take this out of the rotation, or if I'm going to keep working on it on Saturdays, which is when I normally work on it. I'm just going to kind of see how things go. I've got some other projects going. I'm doing a ornament swap with a friend, which I can't show you right now, and some other things, so I'm not going to worry about Sally. Like, I know I'll finish it, it's beautiful, and I'm happy with it, so it's just kind of whenever I can squeeze it in, so I'll just see how my schedule goes. I'm also working on When Witches Go Riding. By Prairie Schooler. And that's coming along nicely. It could be coming along even more nicely if I would stop messing up my counting. So this is my own hand-dyed linen. This is 32 count. It's a Zweigart base. And I've subbed out the orange for a slightly brighter orange. So yeah, I kept screwing up my counting. So I've been visiting the frog pond on more than one occasion. I need to flee the frog pond and get the heck away from there. I love this. It's awesome. It's a great design. I'm enjoying stitching it. So I just have a little bit more to go here in this top border, and then I can start stitching the words in the moon and kind of work my way down. But this is just, I love this design. I love Prairie Schooler. Just so good. This is I'm weaving. That's another whip I have going, and I'm weaving kind of a series of different geometric designs on one warp. So I've been doing diamonds, and then I switched to these kind of cool circle things that look a little bit like a life preserver. And now I'm doing stars. So I'm just kind of changing it up, changing out the colors, and that's been a lot of fun. And just as a kind of funny, weird thing, I bought my loom secondhand, and I bought it from a dealership that deals in this company's looms. And when I bought it, over time, I've had some issues with it, and I've been able to get support through Ravelry. So there's a group devoted to this brand of loom, which is called Louet. And Louet is a company in the Netherlands that makes looms. So there's a Jane Stafford Textiles helpline. There's a group for just Jane Stafford Textiles, and then there's a helpline. So if you have any kind of Louet loom and you have a problem, you can write into this helpline. You can post on the helpline, and either other people who own that loom or Jane herself, she's the North American representative, will pop in and, you know, try to help you out and just troubleshoot. I wish there were like a loom doctor who made house calls and would just come look at my loom and say, oh, this needs to be changed, this needs to be changed. So after I got my loom, I've had some issues with it. And over time, I've discovered that some things weren't set up correctly on my loom. And I don't know if it's that the dealership did that and didn't know what they were doing, or if it was a classroom loom and if some like student just did stuff to it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. But one problem that I had soon after I started weaving on it is that I would put my foot down on the treadle and certain shafts will come down to create the pattern. So some threads stay up and some threads go down, and you throw the shuttle and you're creating a pattern. So when I take my foot off the treadle, everything should go back up, but some of them would stick and they wouldn't move, and I'd have to like shake my foot on the treadle or shake the loom, and that's really annoying and that's not supposed to happen. So I had written in on this helpline and eventually was advised to, it was just 2 shafts that were sticking. I was advised to move the spring tighter on those 2 shafts to give it more tension. Like maybe those springs were stretching out, maybe I would need to replace them, but to try that for now. And that worked. It did make it harder to push the pedals down, the treadles, because then there's more resistance, but whatever. Anyway, someone was posting in there about having a problem that wasn't the same problem that I had had, but they were talking about wondering if their springs were stretching out. And I commented and said, I was wondering that about mine too. And Jane, who, as I said, is the representative, she said, I have like 3 of these looms and I've never had a problem with the spring stretching out. And she asked a couple of questions and I'm like, yeah, I checked that and it's all fine. And here's a picture of the inside of my loom, the castle, which is the top of the loom where the springs all are. And I was like, see how that one spring is stretched way out. And I was, you know, she was aware that of what reason I had for moving the spring. And she's like, I think you should move it back to where it was and then check these other things. And she said it should be on the first loop. So they're attached on a cord. And so you just can kind of adjust. There's like spaces where you can hook the spring in. So she said it should be on the first loop. And I had moved mine closer or longer basically to get more tension. So anyway, I checked the inside of my loom. All that is to say, I checked the inside of my loom. All of the springs were in the wrong place. Like, whoa. I moved all of the springs to where they were supposed to be. And guess what? The loom works way better. So all this time, I've had this loom for 3 years. All this time, I've been having like issues with it that were just because of that. So yeah, now it's easier to treadle and my fabric looks better. It's not as noisy. Like it's working the way it was supposed to work. And when I watched videos of people using it, it looks like that. And when people would say how easy it was, like it really is now. So I'm happy. I've only used it like a couple of times since then because it's just been like, I just figured this out like 2 days ago. But I'm really glad I figured it out. So problem solving, the one downside to buying used, it's really a really good way to save some money. And even if you buy new, stuff can go wrong, but boy. Yeah. So I've been weaving and I've been a happier weaver the last couple of days. And I have a new start that I forgot to mention. It's not cross stitch, it's crochet. A friend, Cynthia, she sent me an email and it was a doily and it was a ghost doily. And I was like, oh my God, I need to crochet that ghost doily. So, oops, I just like lost my loop here. Just a second, let me rescue it. So I used to do, when I started crocheting, I used to do a lot of thread crochet. You only need so many doilies in your house, so I haven't really thread crocheted in quite a while. But if there's a ghost doily to be crocheted, then I do need to do that. So right now, you can't see any ghosts. It just really looks like a doily. But this is the bottom part of the ghost, and then it's going to get some arms and a face. I'll insert a picture here of what it's going to look like. So this is awesome. I'm really excited. And it's kind of slow going, you know? I mean, it's thread crochet. I'm using my beloved tulip hooks. So I love tulip hooks and I use the regular ones and I also use their steel hooks. I really like the grip. Sorry, that's blurry. This is a 1.5 millimeter, which is a number 2. That's like squishy, but comfortable. They're really good. They come with a little cap you can buy, and I have the whole set. You can buy like a really nice set that holds them, like a case. And I think this is probably, I'm pretty sure this is a size 10 crochet thread. So this will probably, if I'm lucky, this will be done the next time you see me, but I don't know if it will be. Obviously, it gets slower and slower as I add each round and more stitches, so we'll see. Certainly before October, it'll be done. So it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and the designer is Marsha Glassner, and I'll link the pattern below. It's called Boo. And so that's all my whips. I have a couple of purchases. So I'm kind of a big fan of Mad for Minders on Etsy. And I've talked a little bit about Mad for Minders. Dasmine, I think is her name. I got this witch from her, and I have several others I like that I have purchased from her. So I ordered several. And I custom ordered or requested a custom order of, because I love the Peanuts, Charlie Brown Christmas. I'm trying to get it to not be blurry, and it really doesn't want to cooperate. Okay. Let me try one more time. Nope, it refuses to oblige me. I guess you'll just have to take my word for how awesome these are in a non-blurry circumstance. So we've got, I love The Great Pumpkin, and I love the Charlie Brown Christmas. They're like my favorite holiday movies. I watch them every year. It doesn't matter how old I am, I watch them every year. I love them still. So here's the Christmas one, here's the Halloween one. So I sent her some ideas of what graphic I wanted, and she tweaked as she needed to, and then I was able to custom order these. And I think she has both of these now available in her shop so that you can order them too if you want. So I'm super excited. And then of course this is going to be on my American flag quilt sampler now. And sometimes she'll include like a bonus one. So this was a bonus one for me, which was really nice. So check out Mad for Minders on Etsy if you need more for your collection, especially the Peanuts. And then my other purchase was from Just Cross Stitch. This is a new collection, 2011-2015. As far as I know, you can't get this anywhere except from the company, Yany's. I don't think you can get this on 123 yet, or like Amazon or anything. And I got this because I was looking for the Brittercup witch cat that I'd mentioned multiple videos ago, and it's like a kitty wearing a witch hat with a cauldron. And I finally figured out that it was in the October 2011 issue, not the Halloween issue, but the October issue. So I had to have that. And then Jackie from Cross My Stitches was stitching this really cute cardinal that says "Winter's for the Birds." It's an ornament. And I finally figured out what issue that was from. And honestly don't remember. I think it's like the 2015 or 2014 Christmas issue. I don't know, but if you get this, it's in this. So, yeah, this is cool. So I was happy to get that. Now I can stitch those. So I think I'm going to not do a from the archives this time and just kind of make it a short video, and hopefully I'll have a little bit more for you next time. Thank you so much for visiting with me today. I hope you're getting in lots of stitching, and I hope that you have a wonderful couple of weeks. And I'll be back in 2 weeks. Take care.